To RMC or to not RMC? That is always the question. Welcome back, guys. Slides to Coasters podcast, your source for anything and everything theme park, water park, and holiday event related. My name, of course, is Brad the Water Parker, your host for this most fantastic show. We're back at it, guys. I know this is popping out on a Tuesday. Basically, yesterday I got caught up with stuff. Traffic in Cincinnati is horrendous, by the way. Brent Spence Bridge, if you guys don't know, if you guys go south from Kings Island, there's a big giant bridge in Cincinnati. It's made in 171, 75. That's shut down, so everyone's going around 275. Everyone's going left, right, here, there, and everywhere. And I'm just here like, what's going on? So, I didn't really get back home until late last night, when I've been out all day. And I was going to go and record last night, but with everything that happened with the Christmas star and with family and everything, it just got to the point where I'm like, okay, we're going to wait. We're going to do this tomorrow morning. Well, here it is. Today, it's morning. And today, what we're going to be talking about is RMCing. Is this something that's good or something that we should veer away from? Now, of course, the act of RMCing is now even more than RMC because now GCI has their own variant of steel on wood conversion. We just saw that down at Fun Spot or Orlando. But you know, it's kind of like when should we say okay, or when, what, why? Would we say, all right, it's time to go and RMC this coaster, or let's keep it and let's preserve it, okay? So it's kind of like for myself, I sit back and I think, okay, let's look at what we got. Let's look at what's going on. So, for those who don't know, currently, year to date, there's only one GCI wood to steel conversion, and that's White Lightning down at Fun Spot Orlando. Fun Spot America, sorry. So in Orlando. I call it Fun Spot Orlando because there's Fun Spot America in Orlando. Then there's one in Kissimmee. And I have to go and say Kissimmee or Orlando because everyone gets them confused very easily. Anyways, so we have a hybrid down at White Lightning for GCI, but for RMC, we have a ton of conversions, right? Six Flags has been the main leader and the main culprit when it comes to RMC conversions. Cedar Fair has followed suit, though. You know, talking about things like Twisted Cyclone, Wicked Cyclone, Iron Rattler, and, all these different attractions that we got out there. It's all over the place. Twisted Colossus, even. It's just, when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, we have a lot of these coasters that are being converted to steel coasters, right? And a lot of people sit back and they're like, well, why are we making these into steel coasters instead hybrids instead of keeping them as wood coasters? And my response is, well, why not? So that's what we're going to kind of break down here today. We're actually going to go through several coasters as a reason to, and a few coasters as a reason not. As we have a lot of coasters out there that I believe we could save. Please note, I do know there is a very heated debate about to RMC or to not RMC a coaster, or GCI a coaster for that matter. We're going to use the term RMC as a colloquialism, as a end-all be-all term for any conversion into a steel and or hybrid coaster, okay? So even when we're talking about GCI, there's a lot of GCIs out there, guys, and there's a lot of them that I know a lot of people would love to go and create as a steel coaster. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, we're going to be covering some very serious topics here, and I know that a lot of people are very strong one way, really strong the other way, and then there's people like me who are kind of like, well, it's a new credit, it's kind of a historical thing. So let's kind of break it down for a second. Why should we RMC? Let's look at some of the conversions that we've had let's kind of talk about where they rank for me, alright? Let's start off with Iron Rattler. You know what? No. Let's start off with Steel Vengeance. Steel Vengeance, right? This is a coaster that has bumped up on every single list that I've ever seen in the coaster industry. I've seen Mean Streak go from 0 to hero with Steel Vengeance, okay? A lot of people tell me all the time, well, RMC doesn't make, you know, something that's really good for myself. No. They built Steel freaking Vengeance. If you want a world quality attraction, if you want something that's going to kick your butt the whole entire way through, it's Steel Vengeance. And I would take Steel Vengeance any day over Mean Streak. Mean Streak was rough. Mean Streak was fun. Mean Streak was exciting, but when it comes to the nitty-gritty, Mean Streak in comparison to Steel Vengeance is comparing a rotting orange to a crisp, ripe apple. And of course, Steel Vengeance is red, so I kind of have to make that reference. But I'm being serious when I say it. I love Steel Vengeance. I think it's an amazing coaster. I think that it is the closest thing to perfection that we can get currently with a steel coaster, with a hybrid coaster for that matter. You know, and a lot of people, they talk about the fact that Steel Vengeance is like a holy grail of the coaster industry. You know, you want to talk about a coaster that has the theming, has the layout, has the design, has the airtime, has the hang time even at some points. That's Steel Vengeance. Mean Streak had none of that. It might have had a few bits of airtime. I'll give you that. It had a little bits of airtime, but, you know, did not have the speed, the intensity, the excitement, the smoothness of Steel Vengeance. And I think that's in situations like this that we can say, all right, this is a coaster that added to the coaster. It added to the whole ride experience. I think that's exactly what we need in the coaster industry. Now, let's continue on. Let's go to Iron Rattler. Okay, so again, we're talking about an earlier RMC conversion, so this is closer to when they started doing this originally. Again, we're talking about a coaster that originally had a wooden coaster that was, okay. I personally did not get to ride Texas Rattler. I believe it was Texas Rattler. No, Rattler. I didn't get to ride Rattler before it became Iron Rattler. However, I can say that without a doubt, I've heard people talk about Rattler. In fact, when I was down at Fiesta, Texas, I talked to a guy who rode Rattler and said Iron Rattler is so much smoother, so much better. Everything about it is just better. You know, when you ride Iron Rattler, it is truly one of those... You know, there's a few coasters out there that I can say is more of an experience rather than a ride. Especially when it comes to terrain. People always talk about, you know, Beast being a terrain coaster. You know, talk about Banshee being a terrain coaster. You know, there are Kumba, Cheetah, you know, etc., etc., etc. I could go on and on and on. Iron Rattler takes that to the next level because it's built right next and right on the quarry wall. So, you go up above the quarry wall, dive down, then you come on up over the quarry wall, then you have another bip. There's just so much airtime and so much inversions and intensity on this coaster it's exciting, it's wild. It's something totally different, and that tunnel at the end is just... You want to talk about a coaster that really hauls it all the way through. That's Iron Rattler. You want to talk about a coaster that is a 10 out of 10 conversion. You know, and I've seen photos. I'm actually going to look real quick on RCDB again for Iron Rattler. And just looking at the layout for Iron Rattler just looks so much better. But at the same time, I understand that a lot of people have fondness for the old attraction. But for myself, my response is okay, but it was rough. You know, wooden coasters get rough. So for myself, again, we're talking about a coaster that was upgraded. 100% upgraded. When we continue on this list, when we continue going down this road, there are coasters that we can continuously say, all right, this was an amazing conversion. This is a great conversion. It's exactly what we needed. Okay? Now, let's talk about why not convert. Or better yet, yeah, let's talk about why not convert. Why should we not even touch these coasters? Or better yet, why should we go and help these coasters with RMC Topper Track? I know out there somewhere, some dude who's a wooden coaster enthusiast or fanboy, whatever you want to call yourself, probably just cringed when I say Topper Track. Because we're going to get into that at the final bit, but let's talk about why you shouldn't RMC first. There are a ton of coasters out there that I believe are really close to perfection, even on the wood side of things. You want to talk about a coaster that has the intensity, has smoothness, has integrity. There are a ton of wooden coasters out there that do this time and time again. Prime example, Voyage, Raven, Legend. While I think that Legend, we'll talk about this in a bit, can use some Topper Track, Legend is an amazing coaster, nevertheless. You have other wooden coasters out there that are really amazing, such as Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider is one of those coasters that, you know, is a success story because GCI came on in and did a whole entire reprofile. The Beast at Kings Island. This is one that everyone talks about. This is one that really gets a lot of heat, and just to do a little bit of social commentary for a second. The Beast is one of those few coasters out there that people always talk about, and they say, well, you know, you want to talk about a coaster that has everything. Well, that's the Beast. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have everything. You want to talk about a coaster that has experience? That's the Beast. It is an experience, per se. I mean, that's a little bit of a stretch. You're stretching it just a little bit. But it's an historical attraction. It has a history behind it. It has a legacy behind it. You want to talk about a coaster that basically rebooted and restarted coasters in general with Racer, right? After Racer, it just kept on adding on. You want to talk about a coaster that really went out of its way to become the biggest and the baddest, and had to be trimmed, mind you. That's the Beast. Now, of course, I am willing to say, and I know a lot of people would hate this because I think this would take away the Ace Coaster Landmark title. But if GCR were to come on in and reprofile a little bit of that bottom flare out, take off the trims, the Beast would be way better than what it is right now. If you were to do a retrack, you know, do what Holiday World does and do a retrack every year. Which, of course, I know that currently they're doing some reprofiling and retracking on Racer. Which, again, another coaster that I don't believe should be RMC'd. For as much as I don't like to ride it, I don't really ride it all the time, but it's an historical landmark. There are coasters out there that deserve to stay. However, there are various coasters that I think would be okay with just going. So, with that being said, why shouldn't you RMC? Number one, historical significance. Two, a lot of coasters don't need to be RMC'd. A lot of coasters are fine just as is. It's just the fact that maybe, you know, it just needs a little bit of TLC. Number three, just in general, if we keep on RMCing every single wooden coaster, there's not going to be any wooden coasters left. And I believe that we need to have that diversity, especially in the coaster industry with our coasters, you know, with wooden coasters, with steel coasters, with different kinds of wooden coasters, etc. So with that being said, Let's talk about some alternatives to RMCing. One is a GCI reprofile or Gravity Group reprofile. These are two companies that are very engaged with the wooden coaster industry. GCI has created a ton of amazing coasters, and they do a lot of track work. Same could be said for Gravity Group. The same could also be said for, various companies out there who actually do work on wooden coasters. Heck, even RMC does a little bit of TLC sometimes. So you have the capacity to do track work with GCI, which would be a reprofile. We saw this with Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider was a little bit rough, and they made it into a spectacular, smooth as butter attraction. And Ghost Rider gets a ton of ride time, by the way. You want to talk about a wooden coaster that gets a ton of ride time? That is exactly what Ghost Rider is. It's a lot of ride time. It's a wooden coaster. It's in a very hot environment, very dry environment. It's exactly what you look for with a wooden coaster in general, in my opinion. You want to talk about a coaster that has practically everything you're looking for. That's Ghost Rider. So you could go in GCI reprofile. You could also add a RMC topper track. Now, a lot of wooden coaster enthusiasts kind of say, well, once you put topper track on, it's no longer a wooden coaster. But my response is, okay, you have a steel track on the coaster, do you not? You have a steel strip on the coaster. Does that make it a steel coaster? No. It just makes it a little topper to the track. RMC topper track just expands on this concept. And you create this topper track design where you can go and, kind of help out with a lot of the stress. Now, I know that someone's going to say, well, Brad, when you look at Lightning Rod was topper track, but now they have to RMC it. Well, yeah, that's because they made it so freaking intense. You want to talk about a coaster that's way too intense, that's Lightning Rod. So, with that in mind, when you look at topper track, I believe there's a few coasters out there that I would say definitely could get the topper track treatment, in my opinion. One of those being the Beast. I think the Beast would be a great candidate. I think that there are other coasters out there, like Jackrabbit down in Myrtle Beach. That thing is just a nightmare. Swamp Fox. Swamp Fox. I'm thinking of Kennywood right now. With the Jackrabbit up there. No. The Swamp Fox down at Myrtle Beach really could use it. There are other coasters like Legend, who I believe can use a RMC topper track treatment. Legend is one of those coasters that I want to love. The layout is exactly what I look for. It's just way too freaking rough. And that's just 100% on the... It's mainly on the back half. The front half's usually okay. It's usually fine. But when you come into that back half, when you come into the helix, those helices, I call them the pain trains. It's the pain dome. It's the Thunderdome. Because it hurts. It really does. It hurts. I remember at Hollywood Nights, I told my buddy Andrew straight up, Andrew, I can't do Legend anymore. I can't. It's way too fast. It's way too intense. But it's just very upsetting to me because I would really love to see some of these coasters get the love and TLC that they deserve. And I think that one way they can do it is by putting on topper track. So with that in mind, with that being said, let's talk about a few coasters that I personally believe would be cool to RMC. Or GCI for that matter. First things first, I just want to be clear. A lot of these are based off of personal experience. If you have an issue with it, I'm sorry, you know. It is what it is. Let's start off in Kentucky Kingdom. Kentucky Kingdom did actually get an RMC conversion, but I think Thunder Run would be a prime candidate for an RMC conversion. And I'm gonna be dumping on Den today, by the way, because there are a ton of Dens out there that I just do not care about. 10-foot pole. Nope. I wouldn't even touch it. I wouldn't even touch... Like, there's few GCIs out there that I could say, okay, maybe. But at the same time, it's just that, like, the Dens are all bad. Hurler down at Carowinds is an international coaster. That is a coaster that I think should be RMC'd. We just saw an RMC conversion up at King's Dominion. Why don't we do the same down at Carowinds? Because they desperately need it. Hurler is just rough. It's a fun coaster, mind you. But it is just so freaking rough. And it's very sad to me because it's such a fine, nice park. But you have such a rough wooden coaster. And you know, it's kind of like, it's funny because you sit back and you look at these parks and then you say, well, if you get rid of the wood coaster, it's going to be mainly steel except for maybe one wood kiddie coaster. Well, my response is, okay, build a GCI. There are very few GCIs I've been on, year to date, mind you, that I can say, they could maybe use an RMC conversion. I think there are coasters out there that just need a little bit of love and TLC. For example, Thunderhead. I am very critical of Thunderhead sometimes, just due to a little bit of the roughness. No, Thunderhead is not a bad coaster. I actually love Thunderhead. But it just gets to the point for myself to where you have a coaster that desperately needs help. One way or another, it needs help. Another prime example, and I know I'm probably going to get a little bit of heat for this, the Great American Scream Machine. That could use an RMC treatment. I think that would be an amazing RMC, by the way. American Eagle up at Six Flags Great America. That is a coaster that could go the way of the dodo with an RMC. I didn't really care for it, you know, and don't get me wrong. Am I saying that you should not ride these coasters? No, I'm actually saying you should ride these coasters because these coasters are, you know, coaster credits and they each have their own potential. But what I'm trying to get at here is the fact that it is okay to say, let's go and RMC it. Because there comes a point when it is a little bit rough. It is a little bit, I don't know. I put it like this. I want to see more coasters be more applicable for more people across the United States. My mother used to be a hardcore coaster enthusiast. She used to ride almost every single coaster she could find. She doesn't anymore. She just can't. Some of them are way too rough. She has a hard time riding Diamondback now. Let alone Banshee. She does not touch Banshee with a 10-foot pole. However, it's kind of like for myself, I want to see a lot, you know, there are coasters out there that just kind of get to the point where it's kind of like, well, it's, you know, it's rough. There's complaints. There's a lot of upkeep. There's a lot of maintenance. It just gets to the point to where I want to see these parks succeed. I want to see these parks grow. And they're not going to be able to grow with, you know, having rougher coasters. Which, of course, mind you, there are other coasters I believe they could RMC. And maybe we'll have a discussion after next year. Because this upcoming year, you know, pandemic permitting, I'm going to try to get out on a coaster trip that would actually allow me to get a few more wooden coasters under my belt. I've got one that would be Wooden Coaster Mecca. The other one will be kind of a few wooden coasters I haven't gotten to yet. The other one would be just a ton of just random, very nice wooden coasters. Which, mind you, You want to talk about, wooden coasters for a second. RMC does make some really nice wooden coasters. You want to talk about Lightning Rod, which is being RMC'd, which is very sad because it's just so freaking intense. But Outlaw Run, a lot of people love Outlaw Run. Goliath up at Six Flags Great America. I love Goliath. That is one of those wooden coasters I can put down and I say, you know what? Give me a ticket to go ride a Goliath all day. I'll take it. I'll take it. Just give me a fast pass. Just let me ride all day, ride all night. That is a very fun attraction. I just think that people get caught up with a lot of these, quote-unquote true wooden coasters that I think that we just kind of take a step back and say, all right, enough's enough. These are all wooden coasters. These are all amazing, fun attractions. Let's just go and have some fun. But with that being said, I hope this kind of breaks down some of the current rumblings that I've been hearing. I actually got asked to do the show due to our survey. So if you guys don't know already, we did have a survey that went out, and I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who put in your input. We got a ton of responses. We got a ton of people telling me, what you guys want to see, things you want the show to go towards. And this is one of the topics. Talk about to RMC or not to RMC. That is the question. I actually came up with that after I read it. I'm like, RMC. Why should you or why should you not? I'm like, RMC to be or not to be? To RMC or not to RMC? That is the question. So, with that being said, I hope you guys are having a very safe and fun holiday Christmas season. Of course, here in Cincinnati, it's getting a little bit nippy. I just want to say real quick, just to give you guys a little bit of a forecast of the content from here on out. We are going to try to probably just take a break for this Wednesday show. We're just going to go and pick up on Friday for our Christmas special. Please note, this is not because we don't have any content. This is actually because I'm going to take a administrative day and research some stuff for 2021. We might even have a show lineup episode tomorrow talking about these shows. In fact, I think I might actually do that right now. Just so that you guys know what you're getting in 2021. And just for you guys to know that we did take your considerations very seriously. Because that, just to give you FYI, that channel survey is guiding 2021 for Slides to Coasters. And we are going to be talking about a lot more stuff. If you guys haven't already, please feel free to go and leave a comment or leave a review in the survey. We are going to try to continue on with more content that you guys want to see. We already saw a lot of responses where you guys do want to see Planet Coaster content. You guys do want to see more content that has a lot more to work with, which we are going to try to do very quickly in 2021. Of course, we do ask to bear with us as we're trying to get some growing pains out of the way. I wish that I was very fluent in most editing softwares, but I'm not. But with that being said, we are going to, you know what? Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll have a little discussion tomorrow. Not the usual show. Again, we're going to try to keep that as administrative. I'm actually going to go ahead and sit down and research some stuff tomorrow. As well, for our Christmas episode, I am planning on putting that out as soon as possible on Christmas Day. So you guys are going to be getting some content on Christmas. Just kind of as a way for us to kind of sit down and say, hey, here's a Christmas gift that we could all be excited for, because I am really excited to check out what's going on down at Alabama Adventure and Splash Adventure, because that is a park that I'm definitely going to try to get out to this year. So with that being said, stay tropical, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Have a Merry Christmas.